Think me up.
We do, I know, Mr. Janice will not be here. I haven't heard anything about Paylight there, so I assume he'll be here. Yeah, usually just kind of gets you right at 6.
Here. Against Alvin for the through here after the meeting over the other. Good. Good.
You gotta wait all for it, it's a figure.
Yeah. That asked me once.
I was here.
I know, take this off.
I turned the heat up.
Yeah, this arm won't work too good. I gotta say to Monami Falls, police and ambulance fire department took good care of us, boy. And when we had a bike run up on Lannon Road on September 19th. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of deer came out right in front of us. We didn't have nowhere to go.
Wow.
So you got wiped out, huh?
Myself and two good friends.
Even that close to hitting the turkey last year on a motorcycle.
And that'll knock you off the bike too, yeah.
Everybody okay?
Well, yeah, we're all mending.
We had 126 turkeys in our backyard that I could count somewhere around the corner.
You gotta let us turkey hunt it.
Yeah, please come.
Yeah. Please come.
Yeah.
You ever have wild turkey? It is really good.
And it's so funny, at night, they about 4:30 or 5, they rev up and then they fly up in the trees. It
Yeah.
looks like sort of a dodo bird, you know, but they get up. Yeah, I'm a skinny little brain.
Or I had at that time, yeah.
Okay, I would like to call the Village of Land Planning Commission meeting to order for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 at 6:31 p.m. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please silence your phones, move your headgear. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do that more often.
Thank you. Roll call, Batiste.
Here.
Janice is absent. Lake.
Here.
Leitner is not here. I thought maybe that was him. Lavold.
Here.
Yates is present. You'll notice I did not call Commissioner Grimm's name. Commissioner Grimm has tendered his resignation from the commission. Unfortunately, that's a big loss for us. He was a very valuable contributor. So he's got big shoes to fill. So we will be, I'll be working on presenting appointment for the board approval in the near future to replace him or try to. Item 4, statement of public notice.
Has been posted.
Item 5, discussion and possible approval of Plan Commission meeting minutes from 11/19/25. Did anyone have any comments or changes that they? Saw?
I didn't receive one. I got 2 agendas.
Oh,
No.
2 agendas, no minutes, so they look good to you.
So they're good.
Okay.
I had a chance to review them and I did not see anything. So I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from 11/19/25.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Linda, we know you don't have any. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments? No? Okay. Item 7, discussion and possible action on the approval of plan of operation for Lemke Stone, 21575 West Good Hope Road, Landon, Wisconsin, 53046. Ben, I think you've provided some comments here on this.
I can kick this off. First of all, sorry, my comments are tardy this afternoon and a little hasty. You'll notice a couple of typos in there. This property is actually, the one on the west side of the quarry. It's a smaller 6.5 acre parcel with, access, formerly through the Mork and Hammer property off of Town Line Road. The property is zoned Q and it's historically been used for outside storage, I believe. Jason is here, I believe he bought it from Mork.
Yep.
Correct. So historically, Mork had always used that for storage of their own materials, I believe, rented out boat storage spaces, something to that effect. It wasn't really on the village's radar until they sold it to Lemke a number of years ago and tried to straighten a couple things out. The Planning Commission at the time of that sale allowed for the continued use to just be ongoing. But now here we are. I think Jason approached me before doing the crushing permit stating, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but you want to stockpile some material on this lot?
Correct, I've got some printouts of the property itself, if you'd like me to. hand
Yeah,
out.
sure, go ahead and
Yeah.
hand those out while I'm still talking.
You guys kind of know what we're talking about.
So the trick is, like, as you know, in all of the zoning,
So the bug line trail is right there, Town Line would be over.
in all of the zoning districts, there's permitted uses that they can just kind of do by right. There's
Sorry. I
conditional
gotta
uses
do this brief.
and even accessory uses. In a quarry district, the permitted uses are listed as none. And activities are supposed to be governed under a conditional use permit. So my suggestion at this time, it'd be appropriate, I guess, to kind of hear Jason out and what he wants to do with the property, because there's a big difference in how that conditional use permit could look. If it's just for kind of quarry uses incidental to the whole operation versus if it's actually extraction. Either case, it would require a conditional use permit, but I guess, Jason, you want to go ahead and tell us what you hope for?
So essentially. The printout you got, the red circle. Super Western, who I got the crushing permit for, would like to hold a stockpile in that. In that general vicinity. I did drive through Whispering Ridge condos and houses. I got to the furthest point, the GPS that showed me adjacent to where this property is in the bug line trail. Right now, there is a mound of dirt in the, if you're looking at it like this, in this corner of the property, that Super Western has moved and has already started to move some of their pile up here. They're asking for 16,000 ton right now, and I did plow a path down there, so if any of you are bored tomorrow or Friday, you're more than welcome to drive down that easement road in between Mr. Newman's place and Artistic Stone and take a look at what 6,000 ton looks like. The pile will not exceed 50 feet. And from my viewpoint of the cul-de-sac on, I believe it was Keystone or Flagstone Path or Parkway or whatever it is. I had a hard time at this time of year seeing the dirt. So as the trees come into bloom, you get leaves on them. I really don't think we're gonna have any problems with the residents complaining about the height of the pile. They also have 4 jobs lined up for approximately 18,000 ton. So that pile will be moved consistently. It won't just be there for 3 years, 2 years, a year. So essentially what I'm asking right now is to stockpile stone in this area within reason. And have it moved out in a timely manner. As a caveat to Mr. Wood's point, we would like to open up the discussion for quarrying in the future on this property. Is that a year? Is that a 2-year thing? In my mind, I would say it's probably a 2-year thing. We're in talks with Artistic Stone to buy their property and make it all one, which would help us out. Artistic Stone, Dave Niebler, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but I've had conversations with him over the past couple months about purchasing his, I believe it's 3-acre property. So the long-term goal would be to quarry that property. Short-term goal is to stockpile stone in this circle within reason.
Go ahead. Now, am I correct in understanding that the zoning is quarry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Under quarry in our ordinance, it doesn't describe any particular activity. Now, if I could make this out correctly, are those vehicles that you have here?
They're no longer there. This picture is from Google Maps from, I don't know when it was taken. Right now that, oh, sorry, go on.
Where you see vehicles on here, that's actually on the remnant parcel that Mork still owns.
Sorry.
That's not on the Lemke parcel.
Oh, is that parcel also zone quarry?
I can check quick.
It is.
There's, I think that Mork property might have split zoning where part of it's quarry, part of it's,
Lineates like this.
Oh, I see.
part of it's light industrial.
That's an neighbor split.
Okay.
So what you're proposing to do is to crush stone and stockpile it there?
We would crush stone in our quarry, which at the last meeting I got a crushing permit.
Mm-hmm.
They wanna haul that stone from down in our quarry up to this area in the red
And
to
stage it.
stockpile.
Make a
Yeah.
pile.
Yeah, to make, yeah, essentially, yeah, stage it. The first job starts in March. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it'll all be gone by March because they were supposed to be crushing a week ago and
Yeah,
we've
sure.
got negative 54
Sure.
degree weather coming in, so I
Mhm.
can't pinpoint it, but I do know that the pile will be taken from early spring.
And then you plan to accumulate another 18,000?
There will be another 12,000 on top of the 6,000 that is there currently. And again, I plowed it this morning. If any of you have a free minute,
Yeah.
it's right in between Mr. Newman's property and Artistic Stone. There's a frontage road.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to drive back there. If I didn't plow far enough, just call me and yell and I'll come over there with a loader and get you out. But, you can see what 6,000 ton looks like. I had a conversation with Super Western who was doing the crushing. That pile will not exceed 50 feet, and right now it's about 24 feet, my best guess, without climbing up the pile in the snow.
Yeah.
Does it exceed double? My best guess is no, but I want to at least be transparent with what it could be. That pile will be moving, so I don't ever foresee it getting to that point, but if for some reason a citizen does come forward and say, hey, I've got this pile sitting here. You'd at least be able to go to them, or they could come to me and say, what's the plan to get this knocked down?
Do you have any idea what window of time and, or specifically what I'm asking is what hours of the day they would be coming in and out to grab this stuff? Cause Mr. Newman needs his beauty rest.
I get up early.
It would be nothing outside of our plan of operation, our operation hours, which are, I believe, 6 to 5.
Okay.
I know when they were doing Menominee, I know they hauled out after 5:30, but it was a hard cut of 6.
Okay,
And I didn't have any complaints. They're the guys that hauled in all the stuff by Halquist, by the Colley's Quarry,
yeah,
off of Good Hope Road. They're very.
Yeah.
They're very responsive. They had a guy out there in an excavator, skid loader with a broom on it, a power broom,
Yeah.
cleaning up the road and everything. I feel very, very comfortable.
responsible operators familiar with our community.
Correct. Correct.
So you guys will have a loader that's there and then you'll have quad axles probably that come in and out.
They will.
Okay.
This is strictly on them. As far as the hauling out and the loading.
And by they, you mean, is that Super West?
Super Western, yes.
Now, under our ordinance, because we don't have any designated use and what you're basically gonna be using this for, apparently on an ongoing basis, storage, a conditional use permit should be formally applied for
Okay.
to protect, your situation there.
And again, I'm just trying to be transparent
Yep.
because at
Yep.
first I was, and then I called Ben and I said, hey, what do you think? And that's why I'm here. I
Yeah,
wanted to
no,
be transparent so that if there was an issue,
we appreciate that, and I think Hector's right. I think a conditional use permit application. I would indicate what your short-term intentions are and any potential long-term uses would be, so we can just get that considered and taken care of right up front.
yep, 100%.
And you don't have to come back again.
I'm gonna suggest to leave extraction out of it. Cause I can
Okay.
tell you extraction's just gonna be. We gotta look back at precedent and because the ordinance right now says you can't extract within an area. You gotta have 500-foot offset to the nearest non-quarry zone property.
Okay,
And north to south, there's not even 500 feet right now.
right,
So the village has found workarounds for that to get that 500 feet down. But I just suggest that because that's gonna be a non-standard thing, that it'll slow them up for what you're trying to do right now.
okay.
Especially
Just-
just trying to obtain properties.
Right.
You said that all would change in the future
Right,
if
right.
they expanded.
Forget what I just said then.
But the conditional use permit, what we were just talking about, regarding hours, height of the pile, that's the exact kind of stuff that it would get memorialized in a conditional use permit, so.
And as far as extracting, there was a conversation I wanted to start, because if it does take time, which I'm assuming it will.
Yeah.
In some regard, I at least wanted to start the process now as opposed to, I'd like to get in there tomorrow.
Mhm.
Can you guys help me out? I'd rather jump through all the hoops and make everybody aware of what we do to try to limit fly rock and all those things when we blast.
Appreciate that. So with all that being said, then, yes, I don't know that we necessarily need any action at this point in time. I think we can. Well, do we want to approve the plan of operation
Plan
and
of
then,
operation.
Ben's got a question.
yeah,
I do, what's the time frame you're looking for to kind of build a stockpile and start doing?
sounds like it's already started.
So, yeah,
In reality, it has already started.
Okay.
It's not above the tree line or anything where I was concerned, but was getting to a point where I didn't want to just do it and then ask for forgiveness. I'd
Yeah.
rather ask for permission, which is why I called you.
Yeah,
They did have a need for it, that need went away. But yes, that's why I plowed a road back there figured after this meeting tomorrow, somebody has time and they are hell bent on seeing what 6,000 ton looks like, head over there, But yeah,
Do we have any precedent for heights? Like, is 50 feet standard or is that higher than what we typically?
If Hector has trained me well, that's why it works in a conditional use permit, because it depends on the site specific conditions in that operation. So, I'm sure there are other pile height restrictions and they might even have to do with what's been on, back when Ashboro Arborist was operating and things of that nature, but I don't recall offhand.
again, we've dug down, or Super Western has dug down approximately from the lowest point about 4 feet. The highest point that they dug out is 7 feet, which was all, you know, virgin land that you can see on here. That's all notched out. All the fill has been down. They're down to hard pan or stone where this red mark is within reason. So technically that 23, 24 feet that it's at right now is essentially set down 7 feet from where the bug line, best guess, where the bug line would essentially be level across. The trees that are over there, once they bloom, I don't think there's gonna be an issue. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because if there is an issue, I wanna make sure when they're done with whatever they're doing, that pile gets knocked down to where those houses back there in Whispering Ridge don't have a reason to complain.
So, the conditional use permit, help me out, Hector, works like a rezone almost in that. That application will have to come back here, it gets deferred to public hearing. And then it comes back to plan commission and board.
I believe the board. Is
To the
that
board.
true? I don't have it in front of me, but there is a public hearing. And I would recommend strongly that you, in particular, reach out to the adjoining property owners.
Okay.
To let them know that you're coming forth in a transparent way.
Okay.
So that if they have any concerns, you hear about them.
Yep.
Up front rather than after the fact.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that's a 2 to 3 month process to get that conditional use permit done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question, Ben, is this plan of operation is for this parcel or it's, oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, because this plan of operation says that the type of business is a stone quarry, so it almost looks like this plan of operation is requesting quarrying activities. It doesn't,
Yeah,
really- it's not real clear as to what.
And that's where the ordinance is nuanced. So let me just read this, Jason, and then maybe you can add some specifics to it, but, let's see, to get to the quarry district.
And again, the conditional use permit is very vague, so it was kind of like, do I write a
Yeah.
book? Or do I just come before you guys and say, "Here, this is what we're looking to do?"
It's kind of a formalized list of what's relevant. So, okay, and section 7894 covers quarries. So quarry. I'm just looking for this. There's conditional uses that are listed. And there's 3 subsets of activities. Subset A, if you've seen this before, is the legal description of all the quarries that are operating that have extraction limits. So that's the extraction activity. But activity B is manufacturing processes as determined by the village board. You know, presumably that would be cutting stone, crushing stone, whatever. And then C, ordinary quarry uses, including sand and gravel pit operations. So it's kind of like, I think that this is broad enough that, for one, you take into account that no uses are permitted outright. But for 2, that under conditional uses, what you can do with that is as broad as whatever you need to do with the property. But just know that blasting and extraction are handled differently than just other quarry operations. So what I had to do in preparing for this is kind of train my brain to separate. Quarry doesn't mean taking stone out of the ground only. Quarry is a set of activities of which includes extraction, processing stone, and any other use that fits with the quarry operation.
And again, this would be a stockpiling.
Yeah.
Thing, this is not I wanna open the door to extraction, but. All intents and purposes right now, this is. We'd like to stockpile, breaker run up there, have it moved in a timely manner. Not to exceed a certain height limit, which, to be quite honest, I don't think they'll exceed it, I don't think they'll exceed 50 feet anyway, but.
And you're mowing up there.
So,
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, Ben, for us to really approve the plan of operation, there's other components that we don't have here, like the site plan or a survey,
Yeah,
drainage,
agreed,
water stuff.
and I know those. Pieces exist in past applications made by either Jason or by Mork.
Right.
So in fact, I'm not really concerned about it, but I would say even if the plan of operation were complete, I would suggest that it be handled. The last time a conditional use permit for a quarry was handled in the village, which would have been for either Hallquist or Land and Stone or both, and that's. The conditional use permit and the plan of operation kind of move together.
Yeah.
So that it's always transparent that. You don't wanna put the plan of operation ahead of the conditional use permit and then inadvertently have those two not. Jive, one being more restrictive than the other needs it to be.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Hector, but it sounds to me like we're moving towards a tabling of this item. But could we potentially, with the understanding or the assumption that we would have a conditional use permit application by a certain deadline, could we, to expedite the process, recommend the scheduling of the public hearing, or is that too risky putting that out ahead of a receipt of an actual CUP?
If you put conditions on that, in other words, completion of the full application by the end of the month, you can then take from the end of the month and schedule the hearing beyond that point.
And do you have any idea how long it might take you to prepare that application, Jason?
Once I know what I have to come up with. I mean, it's supposed to be -45. The quarry's brutal right now, there's not a whole lot going on. I've got a couple office girls that are itching for stuff to do, so. Between the three of us, I'm sure we can hammer something up before the end of the month.
Do they want to hang some signs tomorrow?
They might, I mean, better than Friday, right?
I guess I would say is my concern on it is the height that you're requesting. The use and the operations are not really a concern, especially in this community. But the height, I think, is something that we might want to pay attention to.
Okay.
I guess I'm hard pressed to what in this community is anywhere near the 50-foot height requirement, or what, I guess, what object in this community is close to 50 feet?
I mean, if you go to the top of the post office.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, because if I'm picturing this right, when I'm on the bug line, I'm looking down into this property. This property is below the bug line grade by, I would guess, all of 50 feet.
And what are we measuring 50 feet from?
So
Grade.
the center of the bug line, there's also. A barrier that was created on the third, that's easily 10 to 15 feet, and over on that side might even be a little bit more than that. You take into account the fact that they've dug down at a minimum 4 feet up to 7 feet, which the highest part of the pile will be down that 7 feet. So the trees, if I were to guess, you're probably at 35-40 feet. The minute spring comes, I mean, people have a hard time seeing into the quarry when it's spring because everything greens,
So-
leaves.
So 0 would be roughly 7 to 10 feet below what the grade at the bug line is?
at least. At least.
Is what's driving the 50 feet? I mean, you have a lot of land there. Couldn't you presumably spread the footprint out more to keep the pile smaller or shorter?
We absolutely could. Ask for more and take less.
No.
That's where I don't think it hits 50 feet. In my estimation, if you look at the trees, and again, I plowed that area, if you guys have any spare time on your hands. Feel more than welcome to drive down there. You
Can you
know,
make a pile that high? Are you using a conveyor to load that site? No, you're actually just,
there's a haul truck, and then what they do is they create a road to drive the haul truck
Oh.
up on the pile.
okay.
And then they take their front end loader or their dozer and they just keep pushing it up. Again, with them, their plan is in March to start taking product out. I don't think 50 feet's even gonna come close, cause they're gonna start taking it. And
The idea is to sell it and get it on there.
Correct. for them, they're the ones that have the money into them. We get a royalty off the stone that they crush. They're making their money on getting it out of there. They don't get their money till they get it out of there.
So I was just trying to find a way that we could help expedite the process for you and
Yeah, I think
get you into compliance sooner, so. But that realistically only gives you 7 working days if we went with Hector's example of the end of the month. I assume it's gonna require some work by your legal team. As well. Do you think that's enough time, or would you prefer that we just proceed? Because the next planning commission meeting isn't gonna be until the 18th of February. So,
The risk of pushing, Mork and Hammer, who we bought the property from, Barb Mork, did so much legwork to sell that property. I've got topography maps, I've got runoffs, which now that has all changed, so we'll have to redo that, which will take some time.
Yeah.
The water runoff runs into our quarry as it is anyway, so Mork and Hammer, we had to sign an agreement with them for their water runoff that we would
Sure.
take it, and we knew. So that part of it, I don't feel is a huge issue. To this gentleman's point, I get it. What does 50 feet look like?
yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
guess what to me, I come down Lisbon Road and you see Always, and they have, you know, they have the dirt farm there, right?
Yep.
And they're doing exactly what you're doing, and that's probably 40-50 feet. And with as flat as everything is around there, that's very noticeable.
Mhm.
And so not that what you're proposing to do there is a concern, but I guess is this gonna be Lannon Mountain? You know, is this gonna, with the 50-foot height, I guess, is this gonna be visible from a pretty good distance? I mean, I would feel differently with like a 30 or 40-foot concern.
So if you look at it, if you're driving on Main Street and you're driving past Whispering Ridge condos subdivision. I mean, those houses easily have to be 25 to 30 feet high. From Lisbon Road. Now, on top of that, you've got the trees that are on the bug line, which, to your point about Always. What's in front of Always? There's no trees, there's nothing. Railroad tracks, once you get past the railroad tracks, Land and Stone Products has put up trees and berms and all that stuff. Which essentially the village has made us do over the years. To keep people from coming into the quarry and obviously hurting themselves. So. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If somebody wants to see it. They're gonna see it, and that's why I came to you to say, ask for permission.
I think the 50 feet thing, I mean, that's something that we can simply, if we feel that we want to restrict it to less than that, that's an easy enough change at the hearing to make. My primary concern is a conditional use permit generally involves a fair amount of legalese in the actual agreement. That's the part, all the exhibits and everything, there's enough historical data and information. I have no doubt that you'll be able to pull that stuff together fairly quickly. It's having the attorneys draft and go back and forth on a presentable form of the conditional use language.
But all they're asking for is storage. How much can that be? All they're doing is staging. They're not asking for quarrying or anything at this time, so.
Attorneys get paid by the hour.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there at all. Accountants, attorneys,
So Hector, just as a, for instance, a CUP for something simple like this, would you expect it to be more than 3 or 4 pages of language?
Well. And not counting the words here. We have a property that historically had been used in a way that had not called for the preparation of a conditional use permit. And my concern is not so much what the gentleman here might or can do, but rather we're establishing a standard that other quarry operators will have to abide by. And for example, 50 feet, well, 50 feet can be a relative thing if you're down in the quarry deep.
Right.
So now you can compound the standard by saying X number of feet maximum and not visible from X distance, you know. The reality is that this community has over the years transformed itself from a quarrying community to a residential community. And the trustees see, you know, representatives of both groups here.
Yep.
And the reality is that the village has also approved development adjacent to quarries. And it's difficult in the village to avoid quarries and such. So, I think what we should do is ask the clerk to pull out any conditional use permits that we have in place, no matter how old they might be. And that would be the better guide for you and ultimately for our office, working with the engineer as to what we're gonna draft. Because this way, if you get the conditional use permit, it's your right to use that as long as you don't abandon that activity.
So maybe the better recommendation then is that we table this and probably just wait until the next planning commission meeting to see if we have a completed application and materials required to request a public hearing be set.
Sure, and in the meantime, nothing prevents us from informally consulting with the village engineer and the clerk to see what we have in the archives, if you will, to come up with a usable conditional use permit, which we could also help polish up.
So in the meantime, what does Mr. Lemke do? He's got a pile that's started, he's doing the right thing, he's asking the right questions, he's operating in good faith, but you are continuing to build a pile? No, you're not.
not right now, man. With the weather being where it's at, you were here for the meeting where I asked for the crushing permit. That, my best guess, second, third week in February now, with the weather being what it is. So if that planning commission meeting is the third Wednesday of February, then I feel comfortable that with the lawyer that we have in place, my office staff, that we can come up with something at that point, hopefully get it out to you before the end, so y'all have a chance to review.
But keep in mind, that's simply going to be the meeting where we're going to review the application. Then we have to set the public hearing, which is a 30-day notice requirement. Was that right?
15.
15. Okay. So it'll likely be the next planning commission meeting before we would.
And he wants it to be out of there by March, and we're talking about not approving conditional, I mean, for me personally, I consider the quarry to be a very good neighbor, and I want to do whatever it takes to be supportive of them continuing their operations while still adhering to,
Right.
you know, our needs, but anything we can do to move it along, so we're not
At the end of the day, I'm sorry to cut anybody off. At the end of the day, I'm at the mercy of you guys. I wanna do this the right way because this is a third generation business. Maybe my son takes it over, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But we support 20 families.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Well, and you're likely gonna have needs beyond this
Correct.
particular project
Correct.
going forward. So there's no reason not to move this along forward and get this formalized and memorialized in the form of a conditional use permit. And I think, we appreciate you being transparent and coming forward with this. I think we have a good sense of what you're doing and wanting to do until then. And barring any contradiction from council, I don't know that there's any reason to prohibit you from moving along as you've discussed, but
No, he's got a crushing permit. That's something he can use vigorously.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, if something does come up, I always bring business cards in with me. Anybody has an issue, just call. Well, if we gotta knock piles down, if it's a dust issue, which I don't think that'll be the case, but if there's an issue, I'm not looking to make enemies. I understand that Landon has gone residential.
Yeah.
110%.
No, I appreciate the way you're handling it.
Yeah.
Did you have something historical to offer, Jerry? Or-
It's been a quarry since the 1880s.
Yeah.
It's not changing the use at all. I think a stockpile is perfectly legal right now on that property.
Yeah.
Right,
So it's extraction that you're gonna be involved with.
Right.
and I'm sure there's other stockpiles that do not have conditional use and are happening all the time without our notice.
And I do know when, Morgan Hammer owned that property, the owner prior was Ralph Bitters. When he passed, his, I believe, niece took it over.
Yeah.
Monticelli Stone had piles of stone up there. And were they 50 feet high? They were not. But we had stone up there. We still have stone stockpile up there, not 50 feet high. And I still don't think it's gonna hit 50 feet, but I'd rather throw that out there than have you guys come back and say, I'm only gonna give you 10 feet.
So Jason, do you have a good idea of what the steps are to move this forward from your end now?
I do, and that nice lady right there, I'll be on the phone with her.
She's tremendously helpful.
Probably stopping with donuts to try to help. I'm pretty good at greasing her wheels.
Lubricate the gears a little bit.
A little bit, she has been awesome over the years. I mean,
You said-
I'm driving, not driving her.
That's what I was asking earlier, and we would have to do it with a timeline inferred and imposed within that motion, and we just don't know what that's realistically going to be.
Yeah.
So it's better to just wait until the next planning commission meeting
Okay.
and see if we have a complete, full application with the conditional use permit and just approve it then.
Which I have no issues with. I'd rather do this the right way because
Yeah.
the end goal is for us to extract.
Yep. Yep, sounds good. So I would entertain a motion then to table this item if someone would be.
So moved?
Here we have a motion to table
Second,
and a second. Any other discussion or questions from the commissioners? Ben, did we cover everything from your perspective?
Only other comment is, the reality is, until that happens, he's operating at risk.
Yep.
And I think everyone knows and understands that. I think there's someone else in the room tonight who's been operating at risk for quite a while without a plan of operations, so.
Yep.
That's precedent. I don't think there's gonna be trouble in the next few months while this process moves along.
Right.
There won't be. If they do crush, I'll keep everything down in the quarry and
Yep.
not take anything more up there. So
Hector? Anything else from your
No.
perspective? Okay, so
No.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's tabled.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action on the approval of an amended plan of operation and site plan for AFW Foundry 21020 West Good Hope Road, Landon, Wisconsin 53046. So we've made a little progress in this regards, and thank you to Cheyenne for pointing out to us the change in ownership, which really has given us the kind of the impetus and the foundation to reach out to the new ownership and try to get some of the stuff that Mike, you worked so hard on for so long with the previous owners to get done. So I'm happy to see that we're moving forward on this item a little bit. That being said, I don't know that an amended plan of operation is what we were looking for. I think this is a new owner, and even though it's the same use, I was expecting to see more of a full application.
Well, that's the only way to. Yeah. I only have what was sent to me. And I
Yeah.
just have 3 pages, the
That-
document,
That's what we get.
was hand delivered, was it?
Yes,
And was there any conversation to?
no, somebody just came in, we're dropping this off, blah, blah, blah. They actually handed me all of this, however, it's just all of the information they asked me for previous plans of operations, site plans and whatnot. So it's all the information we already have from previous owners. And so the new one, or the top one, was just the new information, and that's all. So, and I sent them an agenda, thought maybe somebody would show up, but.
Well, I'm not sure what it is that you have from historic practice, but perhaps maybe the next step is for the village to contact this Mr. Jose Huertas, who apparently is identified as the plant manager on page 3, and requested to come back here, look at the documents, and to prepare current documents reflective of that information contained in there. Because just because some prior owner submitted it, they can't by inference just adopt it as their own. In addition, they are leasing certain portions of their tract. But I guess in the materials that I got, I had difficulty understanding what particular area is being devoted to these various leases. And I think it behooves the village to have access to the leases, not the financial confidential information, because we have no interest in that, but just so that we have an understanding of who is there. Mr. Brandt has submitted his application. Actually, the materials that I have a signature date of July 9, 2023.
Yep.
And I guess I would suggest updating if that's necessary so that we know who's doing what to whom there, because that's been the problem as I've understood it.
Yeah, so I think Cheyenne had indicated that several of the tenants are now no longer there, that you folks are like the only people, I guess, that are leasing anything. So I think it's safe to say that we all know and understand that conditions there have changed significantly since that stack of documents back there was compiled. So I would agree with Hector that I think we need to go back to them and say, look, this is to be considered a new application. Here are the documents and the requirements of said application. Please provide all of those. And additionally, here are the specifics we need to know if you are leasing or subleasing some of this land. And I would ask that perhaps Hector, if you could draft maybe a memo that the clerk could provide to them, outlining in a little more detail and a little more authoritatively what we are seeking, so we have a higher chance of success with the next submission. Looks a little more official when it comes on law firm letterhead.
Sure.
Would that work for you, Brenda? Sure. And then I think, much to our pleasure and probably Mr. Brandt's, pleasure as well, then hopefully we'll have the pieces we need to get your plan of operation buckled down and wrapped in underneath theirs. And, we can perhaps revisit some of the activities that you were hoping to conduct there previously.
And Brenda, if you could assist us by sending us a scanned copy of what you just held up.
You can have it all physically.
Oh, okay, sure, I'd be happy to. I don't want to take original material.
Well, I think,
It's all copies of stuff I already have in my file from somewhere.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Is that something that I would also be able to take a look at, so I know somewhat how to compile what you're looking for?
yeah, I think you should certainly, I would welcome you to take a look at that once they resubmit their documentation, to protect your own interests as well and make sure that they're representing accurately what your understanding is. Yeah, I would encourage you to do that. And I think Brenda can make those available to you once we receive those, and if you'd like, we can notify you when we get them, so you can come in and review them.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Ben.
Okay, so keep in mind where this got hung up back in 2023 was that the use is essentially a contractor's storage yard, which is an allowable use, but contractor storage yards require a special use permit. I believe Mr. Brandt was trying unsuccessfully to get the previous owner of AFW to fill out a special use permit. So that plan of operation, in my opinion, should designate, yes, a new application, not only indicating the manufacturing use, but also that part of the property will be leased out as a contractor storage yard. And then I think either Hector or the plan commission should provide some direction if the property owner needs to put together a special use permit that allows them to lease it out as a contractor storage yard, or if it will be up to each operator or lessee, shall I say, to do a special use permit to handle the contractor storage yard components or both.
Okay, yeah, so designate where the responsibility lies.
Right.
Yeah. Good suggestion.
Mr. Brandt, you're just
You're in
using that as
concurrence with that?
storage, cause we had that whole thing about allowable uses over there and the crushing permit over here. Your long-term plans for that area that you're subleasing from them is exactly what?
Store the dumpsters there and crush the material that's there.
So again, crushing
And,
at that location, so, when you say a conditional use permit by the
Special
old,
use,
or a
yes, yeah.
special use permit for contractor storage, would that
I
include
thought that
the
was all-
ability to pull a crushing permit there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same special use permit is what they have for the yard up on Main Street here. And I believe the plan commission was able to grant them stockpiling and crushing of material there. if I
Up there,
remember
yeah,
correctly.
right.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure whatever we do is then covering what it is he intends to do, so that he doesn't start doing something there that's not
Yeah.
covered by what we're discussing now, that's all.
So
I-
my recollection though, was that the hangup with that came from the fact that it needed to be land that was owned by the applicant,
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Mhm.
not leased,
Yeah.
but
That-
owned.
I think that's where I remember Mr. Brandt got. Kind of ran into a brick wall there, was trying to convince the previous owner to put that special use permit together.
Right.
So the special use permit would allow us to forego the ownership requirement that might surround a limited crushing permit application.
If we're willing to do that, right?
I can't answer it off the top of my head, no.
Yeah.
The logic or the theory is the property owner has the ultimate control
Right.
over who a tenant would be. And if a tenant is doing something that's inconsistent with the zoning or exposes the property owner to some kind of a forfeiture or penalty, the property owner can then take action to enforce that. And that's the preferred approach here, because the village does not have the resources to be checking every particular operation. This village does the same thing that most other communities do. They react to a complaint. And in this particular situation, I think that some people complained about what was there and what was going to happen, and that's how we got into the inquiry. Okay, where's the owner? What's the owner's position on this? Somebody with authority tell us exactly what's going on overall. And we got no response. Now the property is owned by a company in China, but they have been operating the foundry, I've been told reliably. And they do employ, they claim, several dozen individuals there. And so I think we should approach it in that fashion.
Well, that will be something to look into, I guess, is what. Yeah, what our options might be when we get to that point, but we've got some additional legwork to do prior to that.
It was my understanding that everything in the past was approved, that I just had to put up $100,000. That was my
That's
understanding,
the,
but I'm not willing to put up $100,000 cash. There's not a municipality in the state, but.
Nobody's asking you to put up $100,000 cash. It's a letter of credit, and we're not gonna go into a big argument about the difference between a bond and a letter of credit again.
I'm just saying that was where we were at, and now there's a new owner that is involved, and we got them to work with us.
Yeah,
Mr. Brandt, have you had the opportunity to talk to the new owner representative? Okay, and do you think you're gonna get their cooperation?
Yes,
Okay,
good.
that's what we need.
Yeah.
there's a very good possibility that I'm gonna buy that parcel from them in the back.
That would be,
It's 7.5 acres, and
Yeah, that's quite.
but there's just oodles and oodles of corporate. I don't know what.
yeah, now you're trying to buy it from some Chinese
Right.
entity.
Exactly,
Further complicates the matter.
right, yeah, so
Yeah,
it's,
just another kick in the head when it comes to this, right?
yeah,
yeah, that's the only reason I wanted to bring it up, is that he's gonna show up someday wanting a crushing permit.
No,
And we should address that
Look,
at this stage, so
I
that.
get it. That's
I
always,
tried for that crushing.
that's always-
Long time.
that's always in the back of my head, trust me. I'm very well aware of the desire and the intent. It's just trying to find a way to get us there within the boundaries
Right.
of what we have available to us.
Correct.
So Mr. Yates, would we like to table number 8? Would you like a motion to table agenda item number 8?
Yeah, pending a new application with, following the guidelines of a memo to be provided by council.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, any other discussion? Any other comments, Ben?
Nope.
Thank you. Hector?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll get there. At least something's moving now, though. So that's a
Right.
positive thing.
Absolutely.
Item 9, discussion of possible action on Jake's Park path site amendment with proposed path extension. Ben, do you want to walk us, well, you weren't on that call, were you?
Nope, I was not.
Yeah.
But Nicole Wellenstein from Strand was, which just kind of left me some notes here.
Okay.
What we're looking for tonight is everyone should have this. Layout drawing of the new path extension within Jake's Park.
Yep.
In your packet.
Yeah.
I know that Nicole has talked this through with some of you, so I won't belabor it, other than. We understand that your comments have been addressed, at a real high level, the concept here is to connect the two parking lots, so that folks don't have to walk along the road. This path extension was confirmed by Ellers to be a TID eligible, project. We decided in the past to bid this along with the Bonnie Lane reconstruction as part of one package to get better pricing. What's changed since the early layout is just this, I guess, north is up, so on the south end of this where it kind of jogs to the east. That jog was put in so as to keep pedestrian traffic away from this entrance to the extent that we can. Sounds like great discussions have been had with the Stonemen, who are intending to move that batting cage anyways.
Correct.
Because it needs some work, and some discussions been had with the Lions Club about moving the sign.
Yep.
So that's been worked out. I think the only other comment was that the village may have wanted to extend some paving kind of in front of the bleachers or something to that effect.
Right, there's currently a crushed granite walkway and people are always trying to drag their coolers and stuff across it. And
Gotcha.
so he said it would be a much better use to do some paving there than on the other side of the bathroom facility. And so that's why I recommended we take that into consideration. Mr. Summers also expressed, wanting clarification on whether it needed to be ADA compliant and plowed in winter and all that sort of stuff, which, was addressed in the beautification minutes, so.
Okay. Regarding the paving in front of the bleachers. That's one part where it's certainly up to your discretion. But this is how. This is gonna balloon into something unexpected. For example. You wouldn't want to put more pavement down there unless you knew that backstop and the fencing was all in good shape.
So
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm
that's-
referring
yeah.
to is exactly what you have drawn here. The
Oh, okay.
the ask was for the extension to the parking area to be done exactly the way you have it drawn here, rather than on the other side of the restroom. So
Oh, I see
this-
what you mean. Great.
This drawing you have given me
This is revised.
is reflective of the discussion we
Right.
had.
Okay,
Yeah, there was no other discussion about asphalt.
Gotcha.
anywhere else.
No,
that was something that
Yeah.
Nicole was ambiguous on then, but I'm glad that this hit the mark.
Yeah, the original one just kind of had a spur closer to the road that connected, and we said if we did it here, it would be more useful for the current use of the area, so this is great. I
There's
love
some
this.
memorial signage there as well too, and so there's a couple awkward aspects about.
Yep.
About the previous.
Yes, this looks great. This takes into account all the things that we discussed in committee.
Good. So the path width is 8 feet.
Mhm.
I guess if you're expecting two-way bicycle traffic to be happening a lot, it would go up to 10, or if you had snow plow equipment and you needed it 10, that would be the only reason to go up to 10, but as a plan now, it's 8.
And I'm not even sure what Mr. Summers was asserting as to which equipment we would have to use in order to clear that. I think he was thinking maybe the big John Deere, which I don't think is necessary either. But I think you clarified that it would be at our option whether we wanted that path to be cleared in winter.
Correct,
It wouldn't be something that would be required.
correct.
So I don't think that, I think that this plan that we see here is
Yeah, and 8 feet's probably adequate then.
Yeah, it just wasn't called out on the
Yeah.
original plan, so it's great that it is now.
And then as far as the ADA compliance goes, that gets really into, the detector field warning plates that
Mhm.
are shown on here, and then the cross slopes on the path itself, et cetera. So that's taken into account with our design.
Perfect. Those were just points of clarification. This is fine. Thank you.
Right. So I know you weren't necessarily expecting this to come to plan commission. I'm not aware that there is a plan of operation for the village park, et cetera, but I thought it fitting that this be handled somewhat similarly to like a site plan amendment, just that if the plan commission finds this layout acceptable, that you just kind of adopt this as a site plan amendment.
Do we have any, I know we've all had the benefit of discussing this and seeing this. Do either of the other commissioners have any comments or concerns about this amendment? Questions about why we're doing it? No?
It makes sense. I know what it's like there now, so.
Yeah.
And it looks like you already thought. Revised it to make sense more for the youth.
Yeah, we
Okay.
saved a tree because we were able to encroach a little bit closer to the batting cage, which is gonna go away anyway, so.
Yep.
So,
It's the lion sign that's shown on there, that's a new placement for it then?
Yeah, it's gonna get moved across
On the other
to the other island.
and the only concession they really asked for, is that we would move the sign and then we might do a little tree trimming because it's close to that, I believe there's a red maple on the end of that planting area. We might bring the canopy up a little bit, but that's something we could even do internally.
Yeah, that would be frankly difficult for us to put into the bid package.
Right,
and
right. No, that would be
describe
something the
appropriately,
village
so.
would just agree to do.
Yeah.
Alright.
So,
Remove 4 inches from this.
Right? No, it was just a discussion point that we agreed would be easy to do.
Sure.
So I guess what we're probably looking to do then is, if we could get a motion from somebody to memorialize the approval of this amended site plan for the pedestrian path connection between the 2 parking lots at Jake's Park. Something along those lines, that would be good.
Okay, I will make a motion that the plan as presented for Jake's Park Path plan be approved by the planning commission to be referred to the village board.
Does it need to be referred to village board?
Just for the actual execution of the plan, because the village board's the only one that can actually allocate funding.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Thank you, Ben. Item 10, discussion and possible action on outstanding open items. Just got a couple of them on here. Again, thank you to the applicants for coming. Again, these are more to be consultative in nature, not punitive. We're just trying to make sure everybody understands what we're looking for. Lennon Elementary School, they have agreed to make some modifications to the lighting that was there. We did have a meeting with them, myself, Ben, Commissioner Grimm, and Jeff Grove from the Hamilton School District met out there on a bitterly cold night like tonight. And determined what changes needed to be made. Hamilton School District Representative Grove was had no issues with that and said that he would take steps to get into compliance with those requests. So they have a new fixture on order, I believe. And when that comes in, they're gonna make the changes to the lighting in the parking lot. That align with your recollection?
Yeah,
Ben?
I'll just add, it's just one fixture. It's one light pole and
Yep.
one fixture that Commissioner Grimm and Jeff agreed. If that's resolved, that should take care of
Yep.
issues.
And then the one that was gonna get removed by We Energies, which I believe has now
Has- yeah,
since been
yes.
removed, so. And I believe that the offending light in question has been disconnected until the new one comes in, so it's no longer a nuisance. McDugout, if you'll recall, this was, in regards to some signage issues, there was a banner out front that there was no application for, no permit, and it had been out for a period of time. There was some question about the perforated film that's currently in the vestibule area, whether or not that met the window sign ordinances or not, whether it fell under advertising signs or not, and if so, was there any kind of violation? I had a conversation with the applicants last week when I happened to be here in the office when he stopped in to confirm this meeting's attendance. My interpretation of the sign ordinances as I review them is they're very ambiguous, they're very vague. In many regards, the banner was immediately removed, so that compliance issue was taken care of right away. Applicant understands if they want to do that in the future, what's allowable and what the process is, so that's all cleared up.
That's grading the dumpster.
So dumpster screening so that's gonna be more of a property owner issue. Dumpster screening and removal of that lean-to structure in the back. That's gonna be that's Daily Enterprises, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a Daily Enterprises issue, not a McDugout issue, cause they're just a tenant. The perforated film in the vestibule, I think I mentioned, as I looked, and I even looked again today to try to see what it might say, and then there's nothing real clear in there, in my interpretation, about whether what you have up in there is allowable or not. And you probably haven't looked at it specifically yourself either,
No.
and I don't know,
Is
have
it
you ever
because
been?
it's see-through? Yeah.
So it's perforated film. It's designed to be able to see out, but not in, right? Now, at night, you can see in generally through perforated film. And if you look when you're driving out tonight, you'll see that you can see in there much more so than you can during the day. I know many other communities where we do applications like this. They have very specific guidelines about what's allowed, what percentages of the window can be covered by this type of material. It's all very clear. Ours really has nothing in it indicating
It does say signage. In our ordinances,
well, we have sign ordinances, yes.
and it refers to signage in a window covering.
Well, there are window signs, and the window sign, there is a one whole sentence on window signs. And advertising signs, which is, I think, what this could arguably fall under, because it's a very blatant advertisement for Miller products, right? I mean, makes sense. They're giving it to you for free. They want to promote their product. That's where I think we probably tend to have a bit of a hang up.
Promotes the Green Bay Packers as well, though.
I also have a problem with that.
Brewers.
Yeah. So, I think, I don't know that there's anything we can really say or, here or not with regards to this. I don't know that they're necessarily out of compliance, per se. Except to possibly just notify you that it's possible that the ordinances at some point might be amended to be more specific, so, but when they do, I guess we'll notify you.
Well, when they do, I'd like to be here part of that,
Obviously.
because one of the reasons for the sign isn't just advertising. Yes, we got them for free, but that's irrelevant to our sign.
Sure.
It's god awful hot in there in the summertime. it works great for that. It keeps all of the traffic headlights from shining in there.
Sure.
We
right,
could easily just put up curtains
Yeah,
and then you'd never be able to see in there. And so,
Right.
you know, that's legal. I
right,
was also told that you could put in as many neon signs as you wanted. I can fill that whole vestibule with neon signs tomorrow,
right,
but, and just leave them on. And it would just be an eyesore. We're trying to make it look better, I guess, is where we're at, and definitely want to be in compliance. But as I read the ordinance too, you're correct that it isn't really specific about anything. And then I would have to ask, what would be the ramifications if we didn't take them down, if it was specific? There's nothing that says that either,
correct,
you know, so, not to sound like a jerk, but how much would it cost me to leave them up for the year? Here's your money. You know?
right, right.
So. Yes, but I would, and to my point, I'd like to be. I wanna know how that system would go, where you would change the ordinances one way or the other.
So the process would typically be, and there's been discussions about updating our sign ordinances on many different occasions over the last probably 18 months. We have hesitated to do so for a couple of reasons, but primarily because Hector's got us scared. No. There have been a number of Supreme Court cases regarding signage and First Amendment stuff that have made sign ordinances a very controversial and a very tricky thing to craft. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
And so we want to make sure that when we do it, if we do it, I'll say when we do it, because it's my intent to actually do it at some point, because I feel it needs to be done. That there's a lot of thought and consideration put into it, and it doesn't get done haphazardly. So there will likely be a legislative committee meeting that you can attend, where we will likely review and consider recommendations provided by council based on best practices and what they deem to be some reasonable interpretations of the allowable statutes from other municipalities. I think that's probably gonna be the way we'll go, is rather than try to reinvent the wheel, we'll probably try to find something that closely aligns with our intent here, and then simply modify it from that. So that would be considered by the legislative committee meeting. They would put forward a recommendation to the village board. Then the village board would consider that legislation and take action on whether or not they wanted to amend or replace the ordinances.
As you indicated, I'm not familiar with the installation, but perhaps if you wouldn't mind answering my several questions. The village plan commission expressed concern about this film there. For everyone's knowledge, what do you understand to have been the concern? What kind of problem was the village trying to resolve by addressing the property operator?
No, so that's a good question. It was primarily the number of signs that I think was the one thing that we knew needed to get addressed, which is what the banner, which was immediately taken care of once it was brought to their attention. The additional question about the perforated film was, I think, really as much meant for this group to be aware of and to consider and understand perhaps the weaknesses in our position, I think, is the village, frankly. So really an invitation for them to be here, really just to kind of hear that thought process out, not so much to, put them on notice or anything of that nature.
Sure. And from the operator's point of view, I heard for the first time that you use it as a blocking or screening mechanism to, curb the amount of heat that you generate because of this. Is it possible for you to consider shrinking the amount of applied, perforated film, to make it more presentable? I ask that because in a number of communities with regards to establishments that do have a liquor license, and this goes back in time, there was a desire on the part of the police departments to be able to casually look in and scope the whole situation as to whether there were minors or some gambling going on, whatever. So I think that's the origin of that, because as you say, you could conceivably put up curtains, but is there some compromise point that you are willing to consider to accommodate the concerns of the village?
Well, absolutely. What are they?
Well, what do you think you can reduce?
Well, by
The
what
area.
percentage and what would you like removed?
Well, what do you think would be reasonable? I mean,
Keep it the way it is.
Keep it the way it is, yeah. I mean,
well,
otherwise it starts looking funny and we start cobbling things together and, you know, it's,
Looks
if
unprofessional.
you look at it, it's continuous film. So if you take one of them down, you got half a horse, or, you know, half a Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah,
So-
it would require a redesign. Those are designed in such a way that they're, you know, really,
Story.
yeah. So I think
If that could.
perhaps,
Is security a concern though? Is that from the police
Well,
department? 'Cause-
historically, that is the reason. So for example, I recently had a customer that requested perforated window film in the city of West Bend. They allow none of it. And the reason that they give, not that they need to give one, is that it prevents the security of, you know, being able to see freely into the window. He brings up a really good point with curtains. I mean, you know, but in that case, the city of West Bend has clearly outlined that they do not allow perforated window film, and therefore it's a non-negotiable. It's you know, I think it's it's on us to decide, is it okay, is it not okay, why is it, and then memorialize it in ordinance.
yeah, and what are the allowable applications of
Right.
said product? And so I think, I think the headlight glare is probably the big thing, right? So as people are turning, you know,
And also the sunlight off City Hall here during the summer is also a reason. I mean, it literally glares in there where people will not be able to sit on the opposite side of the bar because it's that bright. And prior to us owning this, there are already curtains that have been there at the bottom of the steps that have been obviously used for these reasons.
right?
To screen off the headlights and the sun glare.
Oh, sure. So
And, you know-
when you go in the vestibule and go down the stairs, then at the bottom of the stairs,
On the inside of those double doors, there's
Okay.
black curtains that
And
we
we
close
close
every night.
every night.
Every
So
night.
you
And then-
can gamble behind them, I guess.
But then getting back to the police situation, I mean, I don't know how much a police officer is gonna see when he's looking down 6 feet of stairs and
Yeah,
he's able to
that's
see
true.
1/8 of the bar.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand how that's a concern, and if there's an issue, it can see in perfectly fine at night. Which of course, anybody knows that's when there's gonna be an issue, if there is an issue.
Yeah.
As opposed to broad daylight where you have to go up there within a couple of feet, you can see through.
I have not heard anything specific from our police department regarding this. So to be completely transparent, I just know that in my profession and other communities, that's the reason I've been given, similar to what Miss Lake has presented. I can't
And I-
argue for the validity of that concern or not. you know.
And I think in this particular circumstance, you hit the nail on the head when you said that the concern that was brought up was, hey, they got a banner up that's not permitted, and we should look at all the signage they have in their vestibule. It kind of got thrown all into, let's review their signage package.
Yeah.
Let's determine what it is that we would like to see there or is allowable, and then convey that to the owners.
Yeah.
So like, for me personally, I don't know that we have you know, there's been compliance with the temporary signage, and I think that's the main thing that we should be looking at here.
Lastly, I'm not sure if anybody's looked at the rest of the building, there's not really a lot of color.
Mhm.
So it's really not attractive,
Yeah.
you know, trying to have a bar downstairs and it's, you know, nobody can tell if it's a bar. And
Yeah.
we have to have something, and that signage, I think, brings a lot of color and a lot of curb appeal.
Yeah, look, you don't have to convince me about the effectiveness of window signs.
I know,
What do you know?
I get it, I do, you know, whether I appreciate the aesthetics of what's there or not, I understand the function behind it. And I think really for me, it was really, like I said, more to highlight, kind of our shortcomings in terms of our ordinances, and I feel the onus is really on us.
Yeah,
Um,
right. To determine what our stand is on that particular signage and
Yeah.
then memorialize.
And it's up to us to then make that change to our ordinances, and then we can talk about compliance.
And this this type of signage has evolved. It
Yeah.
wasn't around 10 years ago or 8 years ago.
Well,
Yeah, it was, but it was limited in use, but you know, I'll give you another example, if you recall, when Luxury Autos down here wanted to put in the vape store. Do you recall that? And they wanted to put the sign in the window there, and we had all the discuss, well, that was a little different because that was a window sign and it was a little more clearly specified. You know, when you have multiple panes of glass that are considered one, blah, 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 blah. And we went kind of back and forth on that, and then we came up with a way for them to accomplish what they wanted to do. This is a different application, so I think we do need to be more specific in our ordinances regarding different types of signage and what we are and are not going to allow, but that is something that Hector and I have had. We've mentioned in passing a number of times, but have not committed any real effort to digging into yet. So I think that's all I really had on it.
no action.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so, yeah, that was, I guess that was my main concern was. We wanna comply to whatever you're saying,
Yeah.
but you're not saying anything, technically, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah,
Agreed.
I guess, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You have to be part of it.
Yeah. So you can put out your sandwich board as long as you bring it in at night, and if you wanna put up a temporary banner promoting an event or something like that, you can certainly do that, and all those guidelines are in those same ordinances that you already read. We just ask that you follow those.
Will do.
All right, HM Brandt, so you guys were stuck somewhere, I think, the last time, and Diane was here at the last minute on this one, and I think really, if memory serves me correctly, and it was really to kind of review some of the things that we had talked about when you first bought the property over there, things like a gate, and she took down the temporary sign that was leaning against the street pole for a couple of years and things like that. So, that was really, I don't know if you have further information on that or what your plans
We're
might
working
be.
with an architect and an engineer right now. Austin's working on that with him diligently. He's obviously behind, very busy. Smaller shop type.
Yep.
Business, and so that we can present the plan of putting up an office. And
So you're still looking at expanding the office there, because that building was pretty small. I know you were calling me about
yeah,
a trailer and, yeah.
so that's the goal to establish this year.
Okay,
And,
So
get
just make-
construction on that and get the gate up and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Okay.
Which that is gonna get adjusted according to the architect. from where, it's like, put it up now, but we don't know exactly what that is gonna look like. Put it up to take it back down, to put it up again.
Right.
Um,
So make sure that you're coordinating with the inspector and with Strand
Right,
as you move forward through that, so you don't waste any time or money,
right,
coming up with something that's not
Right.
gonna fly. Yeah.
And also, the village board and planning commission are gonna be working with a code compliance company that's going to help us keep track of moving things along. So way back when we talked about this and we said, we're gonna have a deadline for you to put a gate up, and then that just kind of, we're all busy people too. But you may also get contacted from the code compliance people saying, hey, just where are you at on this? Is this moving forward? Just so that we have that. And it's not just HM Brand. There's a lot of those things that we conditionally approved pending certain things getting done, and it just falls off our radar.
right.
So if you hear from that code compliance company, that is a company that we're bringing in to help us keep those things on track. So that's all that is.
Or it might come from the village ourselves, it might come from the clerk, it might come from the police chief, it might come from me or Dan or Jim Willard from the legislative committee, but
We just wanna keep improving the property and, so on and so forth. We just met with the camera people, and they're gonna be putting cameras everywhere as well. That can
And-
track things and back up and, so if the police would need, to look at something or whatever,
okay,
because of something that happened or whatever.
sure.
So,
The only other item that I wanna remind you of that you might want to give some consideration to is, I believe. And again, this is bringing up a sensitive topic, but I believe your intent was to crush material from that concrete pile to put down in your back lot to address the areas that did not have paving.
right, we did the whole front with crushed asphalt,
Okay,
and we have on, that we got from another vendor,
okay,
all piled there. That, we're shooting the grades in order to get the right, so it's draining to the right spot.
okay.
you know?
So just in
Cause there,
review,
all of that material's there, some of it is placed already,
okay,
it's not really advantageous when it's. Minus whatever,
right,
to really lay that down, you really wanna lay it down when it's warmer.
Yep.
So that you can grade it and then compact it in with roller properly,
right,
and it gives you a good base.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
so just. To review, in my mind, the key areas that we wanna be mindful of moving forward are that surface. Your gate and fence that we talked about. And then to remind you, if you're gonna do any kind of sign, you gotta come through
Right.
here.
Yeah, pretty much everybody knows who we are.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll put a sign up.
Yeah, and you don't have to, that's your
Yeah.
choice. So
You
any,
might put window film up, but.
yeah,
It's not signed.
One will say HM Brand demolition, the other will say creative disposal, and just to keep the sun out, cause it does.
The other two will say the Green Bay Packers and Lucky Brewers.
right? Well, as long as they're behind your fence and I can't see them, you're good to go. All right, anybody else, anybody else have any things they wanted to bring up? Any other items or properties of concern? Droning's on my radar, I think Dan and Colleen, you guys have been copied in on a few citizen complaints. About some sidewalks and some property conditions at some properties like Dronin. He's already been noticed many times. We have records of that in the clerk's office, but at some point, I think until we actually cite him and start imposing some fines, I don't anticipate us gaining compliance then.
Which property is that?
The Dronin property, Good Hope in
The one
Maine,
that had the fire.
the fire.
I know a demo contractor.
Yeah, we may need it.
Gonna put
Yeah,
what it needs, buy it.
right,
Yeah, you should buy it.
But then I'd have to go before the land and village board to see what I could do with it. You know, might be a problem.
I can
I'm
tell
not
you what you
thinking-
can't do, though. You can't put
I
a
mean-
pile of concrete.
A lot of signs on that building.
Yeah,
There's a bunch in that building, actually. There's probably some pretty valuable neon in there.
he's got,
Have you been in
you
there?
can't even
Yes,
believe what's
I have.
in there. You got a path this wide to walk.
Yeah, it's.
I gotta go sideways to walk in
So you
there.
have walked through that building?
Oh, yeah, a few times.
I did after the fire. It was-
Yeah, I saw those pictures.
Okay, but that would be a village board decision, to impose, to forward on a citation, correct?
Yes, you'll need more than just a citation, given the range of violations that he has.
Okay,
Uh,
all right. But would we discuss that at the village board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so unless anybody else has any other ones that they feel we need to add to this list at this time. I think
Motion to adjourn?
we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.